Because they destroyed that John Deere rider they had.
Beautiful John Deere.
Then I was close stuck on an airplane for a second.
I would like to call the Village of Midville regular council meeting to order. Rhonda, may I have roll call, please?
Mike Kramer.
Here.
Steve Baldry,
Here.
Robert Bishop,
Here.
Richard Hamilton, Mackenzie Peters,
Here.
Kevin Smith,
Here.
Ann Williams.
Here.
Full house. Feels like it's the end of summer. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
No, allergies.
Everyone's getting sick after the fair.
All right. Everyone should have a copy of the agenda in front of them.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Or
I have a motion with support to approve the agenda as printed. Any further discussion before we vote?
just note that Miss Getty will not be here today.
I will-
You don't need to amend it, just a
Fair
note.
enough. All right. Barring any other further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Support.
We have a motion with support to approve the consent agenda consisting of the approval of minutes from the closed session of June 25th, 2024, the approval of minutes of the MCOW meeting of July 2nd, 2024, the approval of minutes of the regular meeting of July 9th, 2024, and the approval of the bills as of July 18th of 2024 totaling $522,290.86. Rhonda, may I have roll call, please?
Kevin Smith,
Aye.
Ann Williams,
Aye.
Steve Baldry,
Aye.
Rob Bishop,
Aye.
Richard Hamilton,
Aye.
Mackenzie Peters,
Aye.
Mike Kramer.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, public comment. If anybody would like to speak, feel free to take the podium. You can just state your name for us when you get there.
I'm Heather Wing from Assyria Township, and I would like your consideration to elect me the new Berry County Treasurer. Sue Vandekar has been the treasurer for longer than I've lived in Berry County, and she has quite the set of shoes to step into. I would really like to pick up her mantle where she leaves it. I previously served Berry County on the Board of Commissioners for 4 years. I served as chair for 2. I am currently serving as the Assyria Township Clerk. 8 weeks into my newly appointed position, I had to go through an election. And so I had quite the learning curve, but we managed to make the whole thing without any glitches, and I'm really proud of my election staff. I did tell my township that I was not going to run for clerk. And at the time, I didn't have any plans to run for treasurer, but sometimes your plans change mid-course. I really would like the opportunity to continue to serve the people of Berry County. I'm really not a politician. I'm really a public servant. And my public service started in 1986 when I attended Michigan American Legion Girl State and got the bug. I got it bad, I think, because here I am how many years later and I'm still serving. So I really would like your consideration for the office of treasurer. A little bit about me. I'm a dairy farmer from Assyria Township. I have 2 teenage girls, and I'm pretty good at juggling schedules and deadlines, and I'm very familiar with fund accounting, and I'd really like to serve as treasurer. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing none, we'll move past reserve time since we don't have any. Middleville Campus Life, West Michigan Youth for Christ. Andrew? And guest? Or just Andrew? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Keist, and I am the Campus Life Director for Middleville Campus Life. We're affiliated with West Michigan Youth for Christ, which is based in Grand Rapids. And we serve as a resource to our students, middle school, and we're adding high school this fall in the community. Being hope for them, but encouraging them and helping them emotionally, socially, and with their mental health as well. One of the things that I pride our group here in Middleville on is that we empower adult volunteers in the community to actually go and build relationships with our students. And so one of my leaders is here with me, Christy Abel, and she is going to give you a little bit of information about an event that we would like to hold in September.
Hi there. Thank you, everybody. So the event that I would like to hold in September is going to be a women focused event, but really geared towards the youth, the youth in our community, like the teens and the girls. So it's just a young women's focused worship event. So there'll be like live music, and it's meant to just encourage, like inspire and just empower the like young ladies of our community, and hopefully while bringing like healing and acceptance and fun for just our, female community as like in a family friendly way. I've just been working a lot with the youth in Middleville, girls especially, and I just think that they would just love something like this, something that just encourages them to just, be loved by others and just bring, sorry, I'm nervous, just bring just because it's very cliquey, it can get very cliquey with girls. I just want to bring them together and just with like love. And I also want to do like vendors. So I was hoping to ask for the peddler permit, I think, to be waived, just because I know a handful of girls who actually would like do crafts and things that would love to sell at this event. And I just want to give them like the opportunity to just, I don't know, like have fun and just like build them up and just kind of like love on them. So, and just have fun in the process. So that's it. Do you have any questions?
Fantastic job. No reason to be nervous.
All right.
I believe the last one we exempted all peddlers permits except for food trucks. I believe we should stay with that.
Yep.
So I think that would be fine. Any other comment?
I was in Youth for Christ, specifically the Campus Life program when I was in high school. And we ended up doing like a mission down to Kentucky, and we went to this farm and helped out. It was almost like a commune, almost life-changing. It was a phenomenal program. So that's great. I'm sad to say I didn't know anything about this program here in Middleville. I'm glad that you guys came here today. So for sure, it's a great program. I fully support it for sure.
Yep, likewise, my nephew is director of that same operation in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Very good.
I have one update from the comments that are on here from Emergency Services has responded after I did this. So the only thing he had on there was just where the food trucks would be, so that none of that inhibits Emergency Services from getting out of the road.
So do you intend to have food trucks?
Just a couple.
Just a couple?
Just a couple local ones. And that it was, they're local and I believe they've been on food before, so I assume, I haven't spoken to them.
Well, they would have to come in and get a food truck, and then staff could work with them to make sure that they're out of the way. Generally, they just take the parking spots by the pavilion.
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, just send them down. We can work on the peddler's permit and everything. Get that for them. Yep.
But your craft vendors are exempt. Well, if we vote to approve it. So I will make the motion to approve the event permit for Middleville Campus Life West, Michigan Youth for Christ.
Support. Sorry. Can you make part of your motion that you are exempting the peddler process for everything except food trucks?
As stated by Rhonda.
Thank you. And then who supported that? I'm sorry. Nancy?
All right, any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving on. We have a public hearing for Resolution 2416 to vacate a portion of Lafayette Street and Keeler's Addition plat. Mr. Powers?
We have to close.
Not yet. He's going to give staff report, and then we will. But
Good
thanks for
evening,
keeping on top of
council. So this was presented last month when we were looking towards scheduling the public hearing. As I mentioned previously, that this area is unconstructed right away. It has not been utilized for any public services, that the municipal utilities are to the south of this property. It appears from working with legal counsel that this probably was vacated in some way, shape, or form, but we have no documentation of that. Hence, it had shown up on the tax records as a gap parcel, being that it was still designated as unconstructed right-of-way, but also in some documents showing as part of their property. I don't know if you have any questions specific to this, because we discussed it previous meetings too. I'd be more than happy to answer them.
I think you covered the big one, that there's still a section of Lafayette left so that they can maintain their address. I think that was my only concern.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep the Lafayette Street part.
Well, they're going to keep it so they can
Who's
maintain their
going to keep
address, Bradford White. But it is functionally closed.
Mhm.
Through the design process, I don't, correct me if
Yes.
I'm wrong, they have that designed so that can be an emergency entrance. But that's why the bike pylons are there and that fence is removable, so the curb cut will remain. But we keep vacating section by
Yeah.
section just to make sure our books are correct.
There's currently no proposed changes to the right-of-way. If you look at the resolution on Exhibit A, it identifies the section of right-of-way that is being referenced. It was previously constructed as part of the previous owner's parking lot.
Okay.
So it was currently being used as non-public right-of-way.
All right, any other questions for staff? All right, I now close the public meeting and open the public hearing. If anybody would like to make a comment on this? Going once, going twice. I will now close the public hearing and reopen the public meeting. All right. Any further discussion from council before we move on this? If not, a motion will be in order.
Well, I was gonna say, you can do it that way if you want. Have it as a discussion and then go into the resolution, but the resolution is next, so
Oh,
go ahead.
never mind.
You can do it that way.
If there is no further discussion, then
Yeah.
next on the agenda is Resolution 2416 to vacate a portion of Lafayette Street and Keeler's Addition plat.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2416 to vacate a portion of Lafayette Street and Keeler's Addition plat.
Support. We have a motion with support to approve Resolution 2416 to vacate a portion of Lafayette Street and Keeler's Addition plat. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. Rhonda, may I have roll call, please?
Ann Williams,
Aye.
Steve Baldry,
Aye.
Robert Bishop,
Aye.
Richard Hamilton,
Aye.
Mackenzie Peters,
Aye.
Kevin Smith,
Aye.
Mike Kramer.
Aye. Motion carries. Now we are on to council and staff reports. Mr. Stolzenberg.
So originally I was going to have a verbal report, but I did have time to put something together today. Had a really good conference up north in Marquette. Every time I go away, I relearn how awesome our staff and community is, because I'm like the only one up there that's not complaining about anything. But anyway, really good time up there. I learned some different strategies about some of the things we've got going on, including working with the DDA and some other things going on. So good stuff there.
If you'd have gone up there in the wintertime, you'd have had something to complain.
I absolutely would, yes. But not about my community, Mr. Hamilton. Working through with the sheriff department, with the police contract, they did get everything uploaded to the LexisNexis, so we're good there. Now I just need to work with the courts to get it done on their end, and then the ball is in the sheriff's court for presenting it to the Board of Commissioners for final approval of that, and that's where that's at right now. So
That's the updated verbiage to the police contract that
Yes.
details the process from here on out.
yes,
Excellent.
yes,
That is one of the biggest things that we struggle with, is carrying out the information from board to board. So
yes.
This was a Brian Urquhart trick to make sure that you document everything and put it in findings of fact. So I really appreciate staff's work to get this taken care of. Well done.
Thanks.
Will you let me know when it goes into the commissioner's packet for review and for vote?
Sure. Can do that. High Street's underway, as everybody's probably seen that. They're working diligently to get that done. And then I'm scheduled to present the strategic plan, our strategic plan, both the township and school board at their first meeting in August. So that's about it, unless anybody has any questions.
Any status update on the property on High Street?
Yeah, you're gonna have something here in a little bit.
Excellent.
And then any new bites for 36th State Street?
Those should be in by the end of the month.
Oh,
Yep.
good. Okay.
Any other comments for Craig? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Powers, welcome back.
Thank you for having me. So as you can see, good amount of permits still being issued at this moment. However, a few other items, as many of you know, Misty Ridge and Rolling Oaks parking regulations, DDA is still working on conducting the parking assessment. Baby Bliss demolition. So in regards to the design where property, we have to get environmental studies done. Once those are done, then we'll be able to establish timelines for next steps. However, hoping that those will occur by the end of this month, but it might be early next month. Haven't gotten a firm time, just an estimate on that. So Mid-Villa public hearing that went before the Berry County Commissioners. It's scheduled to be heard for a final decision at their meeting that's at the end of August. Budget for 2025, been working with the village manager, getting ideas for what's needed. That seems to be going well. Just one other item I wanted to bring to your attention, since we were talking about possible master plan updates, was pertaining to House Bill 5557, for anyone that hasn't seen it. It discusses a handful of items pertaining to who can be a plan commissioner, along with expectations within the master plan, that now it's saying that housing has to be a component, which it is in most master plans anyways. So this is playing more of a role in regards to what the expectation is when you're designing the master plan. So it's something, this won't directly affect us, but it's legislation pertaining to planning. So just want to make you aware of it, since we may have other dialogues later. So, and 115 High Street, that's listed as an agenda item here to be visited shortly. So I'd hope we can discuss those questions at that point. But if anyone has any questions about anything else.
I have one.
Sure.
Wasn't there a factor with the township on the brownfield regarding EMS that was held up and tabled till after the 6th of August?
So no, so there was a tax sharing agreement that this council had passed by resolution 2 meetings ago,
Yep.
I believe. That's a separate factor
Okay.
that I can speak on a little bit, but I think
They're
Craig
gonna-
could probably
they're-
give you better.
Yeah, they're gonna look at that at the same time they re-look at the TIF, the sharing agreement.
Sure,
So
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Mr. Pergler?
Good evening. Do you have my report in front of you? Any questions, comments? There's lots going on out there.
All right.
There's a green sticker on my electrical service. Just want to make sure you saw that. And I will bury the ground rods.
No questions, comments? There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. James?
Good evening, council. As you know, we've been working on our pop-up engagements with the public. We've now had 2. We've had great feedback. I appreciate the board for helping me in running those events. We have one more, which is scheduled for Heritage Days, which I would assume would be our best turnout. So I'm excited to see how many people we can get to participate in that. Additionally, once that's commenced, we'll move on to our next step with the TIF engagement, which is the business social. So that will be scheduled sometime for mid-fall, and we'll invite all the businesses and discuss what we gathered from the public as well as from the boards and move to the next steps. The granting programs I originally introduced you guys at the last meeting last month were passed. So we do have 4 new grants that can go out, or excuse me, we have 8 new grants that can go out, 2 different grants. It's on a quarterly cycle. And I have started informing the business, and we're going to be doing a facelift of our website to better promote those 2. So that's coming soon. The DDA voted to award $3,000 to the land bank, and the Berry Community Foundation gave $75,000. It's to tear down the building at 118 West Main, which is where the old Designware building was located. So we should see that coming down sometime soon, and they'll start the environmental work, and then we can have a hand in future development there. Additionally, the board passed to have an MDA board training hosted by the director of the Michigan Downtown Association. The date has not been 100% finalized, but it's tentatively going to be August 27th prior to your meeting at 5 to 6:30. It's an hour and a half. We would love to extend an invitation to any and all of you who might be interested in attending that. And lastly, we voted to approve doing maintenance work on the dumpster located in the parking lot behind us, and then we'll be revisiting a potential legal agreement or best options when dealing with management and maintenance of that structure.
I have a couple questions.
Yeah.
So I know we have a vacant building across the street or business space.
Mhm.
Opus closed, and I saw that advertised on DDA Facebook.
Mhm.
And then I think we have empty space up at Marketplace that,
Correct.
so have we gotten any business attraction at all for those spaces?
So the building located where the old Vintage Haven is actually currently does have a tenant, though they're not residing in the building. It has been rented since, I believe, January or December.
Is that smoke shop guy or?
Haven't gotten any formal paperwork,
Okay,
so I would be speculating.
okay.
But they have been paying the rent. And then as far as Opus is concerned, the landlord is being very gracious with them leaving the space, but there has been communication with potential businesses going in there. As far as the building located in like the Hardings area, I've reached out to the property owner and had some dialogue, but we haven't moved on. He hasn't given me the specs, so it's hard to promote it.
Okay.
Yeah. Did I answer all your questions? Okay, awesome.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions
Yeah.
for Gretchen? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, liaison reports. Feels
Yeah.
like everything just got answered.
Well, we have a special meeting planned for the TAPRC, just waiting on the doodle poll to come back, so there'll be a pop-up meeting. I'll inform you two on that. It didn't really provide any context, but if I had to speculate on what the special meeting is for, it's probably going to be in regards to the direction of the TAPRC, since Nathan Fisher had resigned as program manager and things like that, so, or program director. That's what I have.
I heard rumors, but I will
Yeah,
leave that until we,
it's formal. It's finalized, been finalized.
It's
So,
good stuff.
it'd be nice to get our parks in order.
yeah,
Mhm.
I know. I've been blowing that horn. So,
The library committee will cancel their meeting because we didn't approve the agreement. So we will revisit the agreement when I can attend and explain it. But essentially, the library committee is going to pay for all the expenses for the feasibility study. They just need the village to sign so that we would be the recipients of that data, and they will facilitate that for us. So when that comes back at the MCOW,
Yep.
then we will discuss it then. I think that's it. Planning Commission? Doug covered it. All right.
LDFA approved some,
Oh, I did miss that one.
I did too, but I know that they approved some engineering for both Railroad Street and Irving Road, so.
All right. We have no unfinished business. Now we have new business. So Mr. Powers will come back and tell us about 115 High Street.
So a little bit about the background pertaining to this, that the Village Council entered into a development agreement with Acorn Treehouse Ventures LLC on July 14th of 2022. The agreement entered into established the following timeline: being work to commence by January 14th, 2023, site plan to be submitted by July 14th, 2023, substantial completion by January 14th, 2025, with the occupancy permit being issued by July 14th, 2025. So the proposal was for a mixed-use commercial property, including a cafe, bakery, coffee roasting, and canning operation. On July 1st, 2024, the developer was notified the petition would not be able to be considered on the July 2nd meeting, as a site plan had not been received. So on July 2nd, the developer submitted comments and a site plan, which are both included in your packet for consideration. The site plan and comments submitted on the 2nd stated development will occur in 2 stages, with the first into a rentable scale or small scale event space to be completed by the timeline in the development agreement, then later into a sit-down restaurant once the space is able to be utilized. So the documentation I've received so far showing work commencing was related to roof repairs. Haven't gotten any additional documentation pertaining to that. I've exchanged communications with the developer regarding the comments he made via email. That it's been 1 week ago from today, and I have not gotten any response from those, because I was in the hopes that we could get enough documentation that the Plan Commission could make an informed decision. But being that the developer may be deviating from the development agreement, wanted to bring this before you to see whether you were possibly interested in amending the development agreement, or what your thoughts were. I had put a couple options in the back. I could say a lot more, but I would prefer to hear what you have to say.
I would like to say something.
Mhm.
I'm not in favor of it. I think it's too vague. He's late. Starts being on time and actually comes to the planning commission and presents himself as any other developer would. You just have to be open to see what he has. As it stands right now, it's pretty wishy-washy, as I read it.
Mr. President, I have a couple of comments. We have generally, and I just want to verify what you've just said.
Yes.
We've generally just not received a lot of communication from him in the last X number of months. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
Just as a summary review, this property was nearly given away, significantly under property value by a factor of nearly $120,000, if I remember correctly, which I believe is a really good gesture from the village to encourage development, certainly provide a financial padding so that the upfront costs were not going to be so substantial that he couldn't spend that money on the development of it. I personally have toured this building. In every way, shape, and form, it looks to me like a $300,000 to $400,000 investment to get it up to speed on, maybe not necessarily for an event center, but I think certainly for a restaurant. And just given the fact that there's siding and a lot of other things that need to be done, my concern is that it just goes on forever. And certainly he owns the property, but the premise of owning the property was that he was going to have it moving along fairly quickly. So my big concern here is, do we look at the agreement as, because as you stated, he's starting to deviate from the expectations of the agreement. This property is certainly valuable to somebody who would likely move it forward fairly quickly. And quickly, it doesn't have to be a month or 2 months or even a year, but progress. And now that we're activating High Street by redoing it, we're certainly going to be investing in the parking lot. So that's certainly going to be another part that's going to favor anyone that uses that building for a business. At what point do we reconsider this agreement and say, we'd like it to follow a plan, and the plan is that there are conditions that need to be met for this agreement, and hold the person accountable for that. So I'm certainly willing to consider any forward momentum as progress, and maybe we look at that at the time that progress is being made. But I would say we should, as a community, consider what does that time frame look like? Should we set a stake in the ground and say, if there's just no movement by X date, that we consider other options? And I think that opens up some vibrant conversation amongst ourselves, and certainly with the community as well. So I'm just curious, are we considering putting that stake in the sand and saying, this is the drop dead date for when we'd like to see forward momentum in any way? And how does that impact the future of the developer's plans?
So 2 things I can comment. One, the numbers you said are fairly well in line with what the design build drawings that we'd had prepared, considering, the price of inflation. So I would not disagree with you there. The comments on, regarding work to commence, I'm not an attorney, whether repairing the roof is work commencing or not. I can say it has over a year since the site plan was supposed to be submitted, and he has not given a time frame for when the development would be turned into a retail establishment beyond a banquet facility, which I've been led to believe was also very similar to what the other developer had proposed at that same time. That's where I wanted to bring this before you to get some direction before this potentially goes to Plan Commission for determination on whether or not it meets site plan requirements. And
Is there not language in the agreement outlining a completion date?
Yes,
It's included.
And then,
Yes.
and
Doug's.
it's
so,
right there. Yep.
I mean, I'm being rhetorical, but
Yeah.
the point is that there are hard deadlines that are, I mean, I've certainly worked on and remodeled buildings, and it takes a long time, and it takes a lot of resources to do that. And I'm just curious, those realities need to be communicated very specifically, and I think that we should be working with him on what that calendar looks like. In all fairness to him too. I mean, I think we wait till the very end, and I think that we end up losing an opportunity to potentially remarket that property.
And we've been working with him all along. I mean, Doug's been, every chance he sees his van out there, he's out there talking to him as much as he can. And we've been working with him throughout the process, and it's just, this is where we're at now, so.
My feeling is, aside from the developer and who he is, any other developer that would have come into our village wanting to do a site plan, we would hold them to our stringent time frame. And I think this shouldn't. Well, I'm just saying, at least in my experience currently, it's we want to treat everybody the same.
There's a vacant lot right next door that would argue that.
So
That got
this
kicked
is,
down the road a few times.
this would be the first development agreement that the village has done to potentially come to fruition, because you're absolutely correct, Mr. President. We've tried entertaining this because a development agreement should be a common understanding between both parties as to what the expectations are from each. being that there is financial considerations given, as this was not just a typical outright sale. Yes, I have tried to work with a developer to get him to come to the previous plan commission. And I know that Mr. Stolzenberg has also, tried to reach out in regards to getting him to give you an update. So this could be a simpler ask rather than, what's being presented today. But
I think a fair ask would be to have an expectation that we have an updated site plan, an updated development agreement, and a construction timeline by September's planning commission meeting.
Is there any other people interested in the
Property.
the property? Yeah. Like,
I know that there certainly was people interested. Being that this isn't municipal property, it certainly didn't seem like it'd be right or fair for me to try to, see if those people are, but I'm sure that there probably are other people that have the ability to, remodel this for another use.
Mr. President, one last concern. There are a lot of, the village has a lot of programs, and I'm going to mention the TIF.
We have a lot of new ones too.
And now that we have several more, 8 more, if I remember the number here. So the concern that I have here is that, we speak a lot about TIF and the importance of having that program under our wing. It seems like that would be just, at some point, do we reach out to him to explain that to him? Or like, how do we work in conjunction with the tools that we have and make that available? Maybe that might accelerate
So-
it.
I don't think that site qualifies, does it?
And I don't want to speak for any of your colleagues, but I believe that some of your other members may have already heard that he was looking into the Match on Main Street grants as of last year and some other programs that he certainly is aware of these, that the Gretchen James had also attended meetings with him where we discussed, along with the representatives from the Chamber of Commerce, what financial options there are in regards to also having his business for certain discounts, things of that nature. We talk through everything holistically because we try to do retention visits, and being that this was a business looking at expansion, we felt that it was imperative to get all this information out to him. So that was done January of this year. There hasn't been any joint meetings, so I can't speak in regards to the DDA or chamber, what interactions they may have had since. I just know that, holistically, we had all met at the shop and had a discussion with them about these benefits.
Tells me all I need to know.
In order to apply for those, you do need to have a plan. If he is going to adjust the plan,
Yeah, that's
and then
correct.
he would need an approved plan to continue to seek financing.
Right.
So I think putting the September deadline would be something that would be fruitful for all parties involved.
Mr. Powers did give him a deadline of last week, was it? For another, but
Yeah, so-
whatever,
yeah.
obviously whatever council
Yep.
wants to do is good.
So set by September, you're suggesting having amended site plan that's able to be considered if not approved, along with a tentative timeline. So hopefully at the next meeting after the September Plan Commission, the village council could receive what his tentative timeline is, and then you could discuss whether or not that's something that you'd be amicable in considering for an
We have-
amendment to the
We
development.
would have to approve the amended development agreement.
Yeah, for sure. And I would like.
Or would that be,
I
I'm
would
sorry.
like the expectation to also include any programs or anything, the pursuit of any programs or assistance or what, I would really like to see what we've done to encourage this
Yeah.
and move it forward, just to show that we are acting in good faith. And I think that's very fair. Since it's going to be public record, I just think that it's very important to show how robust our support network is internally and how we really do encourage this sort of thing in our village, and how it can come to fruition and work for any developer, not just this particular one. So I really would like to see an outline of the pursuit of any programs that we have, and just to see how much effort's been put into it.
I just feel that, oh, I'm sorry. I know you've been trying to, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have, thanks to Doug, specific milestones that a developer has to follow. When I read this thing, I don't even hear him commenting about it. I don't think this fellow is thinking about what he's really gonna do. I don't think he has the finances to do it. I don't think it's up to us to go find them for him. It's like a part-time job, maybe not even part-time. I think this is in trouble. If it wasn't in trouble, he'd stay online, honor Doug, honor this council. I have no sympathy to bend over backwards for somebody who's late on everything and incomplete on when we ask him. So that's where I stand.
Is there any way we can ask him to come here so we can talk with him?
We
Like,
have
why is-
asked him to
See.
be at several meetings
Yeah.
and
I think we need to leave it in the hands of Doug and the planning commission.
Yep.
We shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
No, I agree with you. That's why I said we should put a hard
I agree
deadline,
with
put
you.
that stake in the sand for September's planning commission
I
meeting.
agree with you.
And if that's what you're thinking, let me recant my statement. And I can work with Craig Stolzenberg on, in regards to whether this should go to MCOW with a proposed timeline in the September meeting, or what that, if it should be at the later meeting
I
after
I
that.
think if he wants to amend it, I mean, we would need to have it approved by planning commission before it comes to us.
Approve site plan, then look at what his proposed timeline is.
Correct.
So
Okay.
how much time
Alright.
does that then give more?
It gives him 2 months,
Another
a
month.
month and a half, yeah.
I would really like us to consider that just being it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. That's the stake in that.
That
Like,
was
if he's already been given all this support, all of these phone calls and we're chasing him
Yeah.
to do what he wanted to do with this property at a significant discount.
Yeah.
A month and a half is sufficient extension. And then if he fails to do what he needs to do, then that's it.
Yep.
Pull the agreement.
I agree.
Would it make sense for us to consider or put into motion, at least so that we have a response, the ramifications of missing that deadline and considering what I would like to know what our options are the day
Let's,
after.
Yes.
I feel like the best course of action would be to let this go, let Doug handle it, see what happens
Yeah.
at the September meeting. If that does not come to fruition, then we would want to get Mark involved.
yeah,
Okay.
they are spelled out in the agreement, and then absolutely we can get our attorney involved after that,
Right.
so.
Okay.
All right.
And
Got a
I have
consensus?
received a partial site plan, and we have to have documents 10 days prior for consideration. So there certainly is time that this could potentially be on the August meeting agenda.
Okay.
It's possible.
All right.
All right, well, I think we gave him the deadline of September, so,
Awesome.
I think that's the
That's the
consensus.
Third of September.
No.
I believe,
Yeah,
is it?
That's
yeah,
okay.
that's MCAL, yeah, so, yeah,
3rd of September.
Isn't that Labor Day or is that?
so that's this
No,
month.
second
Day after.
Labor Day.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Doug.
thank you.
All right, we're back to Craig for the MML annual meeting on Mackinac Island. You'll have fun with that.
This is better than Marquette, huh?
We'll find out.
By 3 hours.
I'm sure it will be.
So yes, the MML annual meeting, Michigan Municipal League, is set for Mackinac Island in September. As you are aware, we've signed Mr. Bishop up to attend the conference, and as a result, the meeting is up there. So in order to appoint him as the electorate for that meeting, we would need a motion as presented.
I will move to appoint Robert Bishop as official representative and Craig Stolzenberg as alternate representative to the MML annual meeting at Mackinac Island on September 11th, 2024.
Support.
We have a motion with support to do what I just said. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the MERS annual meeting.
Similarly, there's an annual meeting for the MERS Annual Conference. This one is in Grand Rapids, so we'll be driving back and forth, not staying up there. But Glormar and I will be there as well as representative from the union, Mr. Rob Simons.
Mr. President, I'd like to move to appoint Craig Stolzenberg as officer delegate and Glormar Aya as the officer alternative to the MERS annual meeting in Grand Rapids,
Support.
October 10th, 2024.
Support.
We have a motion with support to do what Kevin just said. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we are down to the village logo.
Okay, so as a result, or part of our strategic plan, one of the next action items was to come up with an official logo, which apparently wasn't officially official after the last consultant came by and worked with you all on this before everybody except for, I think, Mr. Smith and Mr. Kramer were the only ones on the council at the time. So discussion at our strategic plan was like, why don't we just pick one and stick with it kind of thing. So here are some options for your consideration.
If you minimize it a little bit, you might be able to.
Well, I still have I have 2 pages. It's 2 pieces of paper.
You can move it up.
So you're just missing those 3 right there.
Right
Basically
now,
derivatives.
we use the Stagecoach, the one.
We use the plaque on the right there.
Yes.
Yeah.
We use like that guy in burgundy.
Right.
Yes.
So I just want to also state that we have our slogan as perfectly rounded,
Well-rounded,
well-rounded,
perfectly centered.
perfectly centered, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, being a guy that likes history and why Middleville is where it is, I like anything with a stagecoach in it. Don't want to do with a stagecoach. We got one.
Because we bought one.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the centerpiece of our center of our town. Maybe we should have a sign somewhere other than where it is to tell people about it. That's my thinking.
I kind of like the professional look of the 4th row, the middle 2, one of those 2.
Here,
Yeah.
Yep.
I kind of like those 2.
And just a couple of comments regarding that process. We did pay a lot of money for the new iteration of the logo. I don't know. There was a lot of ambiguity about the whole thing. And frankly, now that I take a step back and digest it, there's a lot of signage in our town that would need to be replaced with a new logo. Certainly this notwithstanding. So, I mean, we have a lot of references to the Stagecoach. I really feel in the spirit of our residents who really love this community and iterate that they like to keep it small and have that small town feel. I feel like we would be doing us injustice if we removed the Stagecoach completely. Yeah. If I may, for fear of throwing money to the wind, I would like to just stay right where we are with the Stagecoach and just kind of move forward with what we have. So that's my opinion, but we did spend a lot of money on this. So
Yeah, but
and including the slogan, but I did feel that the process was a little opaque and maybe didn't capture the full. I don't think we were all really aware of like what the implications of going through this process really were. And I would just like to say steady as she goes with what we have. I love the Stagecoach.
Plus, didn't that one guy who came and did the training, didn't he say he passed the town on his way in from Lansing that
No,
had
that was
this?
me.
Oh, okay. But
It was that
another
guy.
other
That's why you
town,
to come back.
that new circular logo is already being used by other towns and the
Yes.
Stagecoach
The
sets us
colors,
apart.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so,
He's sold several times.
yeah, right.
He's sold
I think-
several times.
I think
Yeah.
reverting back and just kind of abandoning the current thing that we're.
And it's a shame we spent that much money. I mean, that was back
Well, people make
several years
mistakes.
ago, but yeah.
We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Mistakes were made, and I think this is a wonderful opportunity to just move beyond that.
I don't know. We paid an awful lot. We have the logo on the water tower.
Wait,
The Stagecoach one or the new one?
No, the other one.
the new one.
We have the new one on this water tower?
Yeah, if you're coming from the south towards
We
the water
do?
tower, yeah.
Well,
We
we'll
might
have
want to
to,
just.
we'll have to
figure
get
out
the
what that
honors
looks like.
art class to go up there.
No, no, we have a contract with a vendor for that. We will
Yeah.
stick with those guys.
I think at the end of the day, we would be doing everybody, I think the will of the people would be that we
Yeah, let's just
remain
keep it Stagecoach.
traditional.
So we could do a twofold. We could do the large stagecoach bottom left as a watermark on all of our documents, and then keep the one on the bottom right as like letterhead.
Yep, and we can use the two in the middle or combination of the two in the middle for like website and things like that.
Yeah,
If you want to just stick with the bottom row.
yeah,
You know, it's,
Yeah.
those are the black ones. You want to do the burgundy though? Keep it
yeah,
all-
yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't think it showed up well or.
Yeah,
Yep.
the burgundy one's down below.
The burgundy one's right
Oh,
here.
there we go.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
that's fine.
So other than
Or
the
is that
water
brown?
tower,
So
I
just
think we
keep
would
the-
just pretty much
Brown,
do.
yeah.
Well, you know, the
Yes.
water tower is going to get repainted at
Well,
some point. So
we're using it on our website, your shirts. So we are using the new one in a couple of different places. It's on your agenda memos. So, yeah, there are a few places
We
we'd
have
have
the
to change
Stagecoach on
back.
our agenda.
That's your
Yep.
agenda. Your agenda memos have something else.
Let's stick
Craig's
with the
reporting something
Stagecoach.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's keep it classic.
Keep it classic.
keep my old shirt
Keep it
current.
classy.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we need a motion for that or just move with it? Probably should have a
Did you
motion.
have your hat today?
I don't know if we had a motion
It's on the
before.
card.
Oh, never mind. I was going to say.
That's part of the problem. We didn't have a motion before.
So my
What is-
coworker suggested that we put a block M on the Stagecoach for Middleville.
I like it. I like it.
That's the old Stagecoach. That's not even the new
Anything with the
Stagecoach.
block M is good by me.
Not the envelope like this, that's Minnesota.
They look the same. So motion at all?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes,
I'll make
please.
a motion to maintain the Stagecoach logo by utilizing the bottom row and that corner row.
Would it be better for as a resolution by the board?
I think so.
Okay, then let's do that.
When we don't have a resolution prepared.
We can
Let's do the
prepare a
resolution.
resolution.
Let's do a
Yep.
resolution, make
Okay.
it,
Official, yeah,
Yep, we
okay.
can do that. Okay,
thanks.
perfect.
Then
Thank you.
scratch my motion. I take
I
it
feel like
back.
this is the cat video at
Or
the
you
end of
did.
the news, right? Like,
We are still on track to keep this meeting under an hour, so, let's see, I don't believe there were any boards and commissions included in your packet. Everyone should have the Micah Myers July 2024 bulletin. And we are down to final public comment. If anybody would like to speak. Moving on, we will now take final council comment. Would anybody like to volunteer to go first?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Okay. I'm disappointed that our representative to the Berry County Board Commission is not here. Particularly after I watched the YouTube presentation that she made. Now, you got a few notes about that. She made quasi-dark comments about the incomplete DDA board vote on the tip for not having a full membership, as if that mattered. Which I don't think it matters. The board was the board passed it. Shouldn't even been mentioned. but that became a dark comment among the other members. Had nothing to do with it. She's actively out speaking against the Mid-Villa development. Case in point, I've gone around the community where I know she has gone, because she told me where she went. And the speaking points that people have are her speaking points against it. Instead of presenting what it is and what it can be good for the community, the pros and cons, et cetera, she's speaking actively against it, not only in the community, but on the Berry County Board. She's making misleading comparisons of Castleton Township, Nashville, Maple Grove. We got a little development, my old high school, which I think is 44 units or something of that nature. The town is only 1,500 people. Actually, 4 less than when I graduated 68 years ago. So if you take in comparison, it's not even a comparison because she calls that right sizing. Okay, I'd like to ask her, and I'll ask her right here, is Bradford White Corporation, is that the wrong size for this little town? Nashville doesn't have one industrial place anywhere. You gotta go to Battle Creek or Lansing or Grand Rapids or Middleville to find a job. So where she brings herself up as an expert on right sizing, I have no idea. Doesn't even make any sense. That's all I've got to say. If she was here, I would say it the same way as I said it right now, and I'd like to have an explanation the next time she comes.
Gosh, you know what? I usually let go last, but I feel like I want to follow Mr. Hamilton today as our former Planning Commission liaison. If everybody's okay with that.
Go for it.
So I watched that video too, and that was probably the worst thing I could have done because I was up fuming all last night and then had to start work early this morning. The comment about it doesn't fit our master plan. I've taken a few Michigan Association of Planning classes, Planning and Zoning 101, one of my favorite classes. In the first 5 minutes of that class, they explain to you that the master plan is not a regulatory document. It is a document that you need for your capital improvement plan. It is a guiding document to show your developers what you're interested in, but you regulate your growth by your zoning ordinance. So to go through, yeah, I'm not reading all this, just so we're clear. I know Greg's got the camera up. My wife made a crack about that. Boy, if I said I love my kids, the paper would probably write that I hate all the kids and I'd run them down with a lawnmower because I can't afford a side-by-side.
Stay on.
All right, but we're going back to this.
Before you get yourself in trouble.
It was a funny joke. I was cracking up for a bit on that one. Got to give my wife props. So what we actually regulate development by in the village, 78-32075 in the C2 Highway Commercial Business District, we regulate by lot coverage, and the maximum lot coverage is 50%. Now, I know Kevin's had the realization after our previous iteration with this when we started to explore PUD, but 50% lot coverage looks a lot more like 288 units. Now, the other fact that is something to consider is 78-83, and that's the table. Multifamily housing is permitted by right in the Highway Commercial District. So if this TIF does not pass, all of the work that we have done to negotiate, which was brought up in that board meeting, to negotiate a right-sized, using her buzzwords, a right-sized development for our community to bring it down to the units that it is right now would be wasted. All of our efforts undermined and an entire community disrespected by its representation. And I would encourage him to come back, Dutch developers, and build that 288 unit development if this fails. And I would encourage him to name it Getty Estates. Or Gettysburg or some other much more clever. But that's not what we want. That would be hurtful to our residents. And we've put in the work because we know, this is too close, isn't it? That we couldn't sustain that type of development. And Dutch developers and Nate Hybor have been amazing developers that recognize that our master plan does not match our current zoning. And it's something we need to look at. That's one of the reasons why I grew the DDA. Nothing personal, but that's where we're missing the links, is we need to make sure that everything matches. And it's a huge process, and we need to make sure all the cogs are working together to fix that. So I'm going to step away from it for a minute. That's kind of where I was at. And then the only other comment I had, without getting into a tirade, was they made comments about how the state just dumped these TIFs on our lap. If you had, in my, 10 years that I've served on this board, Bradford White has nearly quadrupled in size with at least 3 or 4 different TIFs. And we're starting to see those come back to us. And now we need housing for that same development. TIFs work. They've worked for us. They have not put any extra burden on our residents. So I feel like all of their concerns at the commissioner level could have been handled if they just reached out to us and asked us about this process.
Yes.
Instead, they showed up unprepared and uneducated to make decisions. It just,
Or they
it looks bad for the community, especially on an election year. You should be showing up prepared to make an educated decision at that meeting.
So if I may go next, I have a few things.
And I will concede my time.
Firstly, it's a shame for people who are elected to share their personal biases against workforce housing in this as a reason not to build this project. Workforce housing is not the same as Section 8 housing, but nonetheless, people are people and people need housing. I'm not going to share names, but I spoke with a couple Bradford White representatives at a Rotary lunch, and happened to have someone there kind of high up on the chain, and I asked what the reason. They were talking about turnover, and I asked what their reason for turnover was, and there's a couple of reasons, but one big one is how available housing for their staff. It's hard for people to commute 30, 40 minutes. Trust me, I've done it. So not only would we be providing Bradford White with a service, but we would be providing a workforce for those that would work at our restaurants, would work at, Champs is closing and selling out because why? Because a lack of staffing is a big reason. And bringing in and I haven't quoted anyone on that, so don't quote me on that. But the rumor is lack of staffing. And why wouldn't we try to entice workforce housing to bring in workforce into our community? Not everybody can afford $200,000, $300,000 homes.
Or $3,000 a
Or
month in rent.
3,000 or 400,000 homes that are being built in the village and also in the township. Concerns about EMS being an issue like this is going to break the bank. It's not, because development's already happened, and there's a reason why we need more EMS people. It's existing development, not just in the village, but what's happening in the township as well. It's not just the village expanding its township. So when we look at some of the reasons why this is being turned down, it's more of personal prejudice, I feel, of people than actual need of our community. And then I didn't want to speak on this, on that so much, but I wanted to focus on the upcoming EMS millage. Personal story, I had a loved one get into a pretty bad accident, and if it weren't for the EMS people that showed up, he'd probably be in a lot worse shape. EMS is essential to our community. They're essential to our welfare and safety. We should not discount the benefit of having Thornapple Fire and emergency services in our township. I know taxes are high and people are using that as a reason to vote it down, but without emergency services, we are at an incredible loss. Your response times from emergency services having to come in from other townships will be a lot higher without appropriate EMS personnel here. So I just want to emphasize that as the millage is coming up on the 6th.
Historically speaking, when it's time to put pen to paper, this community has been amazing
I know.
in supporting our
I know.
emergency services.
One
Yeah.
caveat to that, it's $4 gas for commuting too.
Yeah,
For people who come from Greenville, 40 miles away, 35, 40 miles away to work at Wade's.
Anything else? Anybody else like to go next? Or I'll just keep going down the table?
Yeah, just keep going.
Mr. Baldry?
I just would like to, again, I prop up Waits because I'm glad that they're here. They've done a lot for our village. They're here in Middle, they're not in Kalamazoo, they're not in Grand Rapids, they're not someplace else, they're here. And they're an important part of our community. And they need help for some housing. If we're gonna attract good people to come to, be it professional, be it, well, I don't care what the job is, they need housing to come into. And especially young people who are just starting out. I look at that part of the housing where they can transition then into more permanent, especially if older people start retiring and selling their houses and that type of thing. So I can't say enough about that. I just can't believe the board and stuff that talk not well of the plan. And I agree with Dick. I'd like to have our commissioner here.
I have,
And I'm a firm believer in not talking about somebody unless they're clear. So I'm a firm, I don't know if we have to invite her. I don't know what.
Well, she was on the agenda today.
She was on the agenda today, and she did reach out, and she had a pre-planned trip to Vermont for her granddaughter's first birthday, just so you know why she was not here, but
No, grandkids always trump everything.
they usually do.
Excused.
Grandkids are the reward you get for not killing your own, you know? At any rate,
I thought you didn't like to talk about people that weren't here.
And there goes Danielle's joke. That's right out the window.
if my 3 kids was here, they would fish go, yeah. So at any rate, yeah, we can't, we've got to keep. I've heard comments from the community. Why didn't they pass that? You know, type of a thing. And I hear the other side of the coin is, oh yeah, but you know, the schools are gonna have to grow and they won't pay property tax. And, you know, you can argue that with them all day long, but I just don't think that a lot of people understand the advantage there is to doing this. And hopefully we can somehow absorb that and we can move. Next 2 votes that need to be taken need to be. And I would appreciate, Craig, and you know when those are, I'd like to go.
Yep.
So you said that was my,
I think it's August 23rd is the one they're going to vote on it next, right?
I think Kevin spoke very eloquently about this in the last meeting.
August 27th. My apologies. That's when they'll do
Mr.
that.
Smith, would you like to go next?
Sure. Yeah, I think, again, to clarify for anybody that happens across this video, yet again, I think it's very clear that the TIF program is worthless unless we use it. And they put it here, we have it, it's a tool of the DDA. The state has a brownfield program where they have clearly prioritized affordable housing. It's an imperative at the state, county, and local. Now, the one thing that I really want to iterate and triple down on this is that we have been working on this for 3 years. It's nearly been the entire time I've been on village council. I've worked with Nate. I've met with Nate. He's an incredible individual. I've had discussions with Doug to clear a path for this initiative that the state and everyone below that level of government has indicated is a high priority. I'm going to bring up the get together that we had here. We had a brainstorming session. It was the highest voted, one of the highest voted imperatives of our community. This council, so that no one has any ambiguity about it, unanimously approved this project. It is our decision to make, and we made it on behalf of not only the village, but the businesses of the village and all of the people that want to make Middleville their home. This was our highest priority. So I'm not sure how much more clear we can make it. We're just asking the rest of the people that are voting to simply let the program do what it's supposed to do. In terms of right sizing, and I do have only one comment on that, we had an opportunity to have a smaller development, but we did not come to a consensus, and we lost the opportunity to help design the size of this particular development to our bidding. We had that opportunity and lost it because we did not have a unified board and we did not have the right messaging. He can build by right. And so he has designed an apartment complex that meets his financial needs to be able to pay for it and make it worth his time. And we still agreed to it. And we've still put time and effort into from the planning and zoning efforts. It's been a Herculean job to get this pushed through, to dot the I's and cross the T's. I'm going to say it again. This will have a nominal effect on traffic. Misty Ridge and Rolling Oak are infinitely larger in size and scope when it comes to traffic. And nobody complained when we packed these fields full of homes where they have 2, 3, 4, and 5 cars parked in the parking lot. So I'm not entirely certain that that's even a relevant argument. As for school capacity, the superintendent in our meeting stated we are fully prepared to accommodate what insignificant increase of students that this would cause. As far as EMS services, the fire chief, all of the needs and wants of our EMS team have been met. They stated in that capacity wasn't a problem, that this was gonna have a impact on their ability to deliver top-notch services as they already are. In terms of crime, our sheriff has stated over and over and over again, this will have a nominal, if any, impact. As a matter of fact, I can tell you as a longtime resident of Middleville, crime has increased significantly as a result of single-family homes coming in here, not because of an apartment complex. And I think that the very last thing is Middleville, as stated by Mr. Baldry and Mr. Hamilton, we have employers in this town that need employees. Nobody wants to drive from Byron Center to come work in Middleville. They would much rather roll out of bed and make it a 5-minute drive, or if you're me, 2-minute drive. That's a joke, sorry. Preach. To get here, to get downtown and to go to work. But it's not just Bradford White that needs employees. As Max stated it very clearly, we have restaurants, we have small shops, we have a lot of opportunity for people that don't want to drive at $4 a gallon or $5 a gallon, 20, 30 miles to get to work. So it's the right size thing is water under the bridge. That just simply wasn't an option. We didn't act when we had the opportunity, and that was a failure at this level. But we were able to double down, make really great plans. Mr. Hybor has been more than accommodating on financing or paying for a number of different things, including a lift station and making sure that these apartments have industrial grade plumbing in it so that they have sprinklers. And he's really going overboard on solving all of the problems that we might have if we had an apartment. These are first and foremost a 5-star out of 5-star apartment complexes. He's not cutting corners. So affordable housing is our imperative. We have the opportunity. I would love it if if government could stand out of the way, because we've governmented this enough to this point, we need them to step aside. Our will has been noted. We have voted. We all agree. Our community agrees. Please step aside and let this development move forward, because this is for the people who need it, not for the people who have an opinion against it, that think, not in my backyard, it's going to ruin the character of the village. It's not. It's going to help us. It's going to bolster our economy, and it's going to make Middleville a place where people can come in, they can get educated, they can make Middleville their forever home and work here indefinitely if they so desire. And by the way, our EMS people will likely live in these apartments. Our teachers will likely live in these apartments. They're not all going to buy a $400,000 home in Rolling Oaks or Misty Ridge. They're going to live in affordable housing. This is our opportunity to help these people get employees and help serve our community, and us to serve them as well.
Thank you. Yes, you can.
No, there's nothing. I appreciate all, I always learn so much just by listening to the comments of you guys, so I appreciate that. I respect everyone's opinion. Communication is always the biggest key to me. I just don't understand how people can talk about something without hearing other, like what you said, without hearing the other side of things, and to make a judgment on one thing without hearing all the information. And so communication will always be my key to. That's it.
I said I'd circle back. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, I do. I had the opportunity, a chance coincidence, because I was going to the commissioners meeting to discuss something not related to this. And Nate was presenting the plan at that time. So I was able to use what was remaining of my 3 minutes at the commissioners meeting to vocalize the importance of this and how we unanimously voted for this because of the benefit of it. Commissioner meetings are on Tuesday at 9 in the morning. If you can make it, a member of this board, I'm going to go the week prior and share my concerns of, and relay, huh?
We should go every week.
Yeah. Well, I work, so, I can only make, well, I know we all work, but except for this guy who's retired and that guy who's retired, but.
Sometimes you work harder when you're retired.
Right.
We're also-
But, right. But the point is, I think it's important to have our rationale spelled out at those commissioner meetings. I know Doug's gone. I know Nate Hoiboyer has gone, but I wish I could take a group of staff that I know either at where I work or Bradford White or in town, and take, the people that live at the Quadplex and take them all with me and say, these are the people, these hardworking people need housing. Please don't be prejudiced against them because you want to keep something small. We're growing no matter what. And so if you want to go to those meetings and vocalize that, I strongly recommend it. I know I'll be going.
Just realized I did not make your pass before I went back to Mississippi.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Mr. Bishop?
Was there a TIF used for the Titan Flats? I wasn't sure.
I'm not sure.
No.
Do not have that information.
I don't even know if that program was available at that.
No, but there is one that in the works right now that they're looking at a TIF. And so because the Hastings is a city, they've got their own brownfield authority, so it doesn't have to be approved by the county.
It's too bad it can't be.
So cities.
So what's it take to be a
could
city?
There's that segue I was going to.
There it is.
I'll do some research and bring it back to you.
No, I have nothing. I just feel like if these programs are available and they're successful somewhere, what's their rationale for why it's not going to be successful here? Because, I mean, someone thinks it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So it must be doing good somewhere. I'd like to know the rationale as to why it won't do it here.
I have one more thing. Sorry, Mr. President. Another argument that was presented is another property of Mr. Highboyer's. That's up in Holland and how that's become dilapidated. But one thing I'd like to point out is that we have local ordinances to prevent such dilapidation and required maintenance to make it look nice. And what's that term you used when I first met you? It's street
Wow.
pretty or whatever it's called. It's curb appeal.
Curb appeal.
Yep, have the street.
That's the right one.
Right. So, curb appeal, I mean, we have,
It's the feminine side.
right. We have ordinances. I mean, you drive down to other like size villages and they don't have the nice curb appeal and the cleanliness and the clean cut look. We have that because we have great ordinances. So that dilapidation of apartment complexes shouldn't be an issue.
Man, you missed a golden opportunity. We have that because we have great enforcement, because we have great
And
staff.
great enforcement, yes, and we have great staff.
I got you, Bob.
Yep.
And Doug. All right, I have one more addendum because I did call out some commissioners, but Commissioner Jackson did, towards the end of that comment, bring forth the rest of the facts that were included in their packet, the support from Bradford White, the support from the schools, support from local businesses. So one of them showed up ready to have an intelligent discussion.
Yeah.
I like Dave. He's a good guy.
I didn't want to omit him. So then to clean this up on a much better note, thank you for everyone that made out to the fair. We managed to get rid of all of our trail maps. I didn't get to take one home. I just lost it. Good experience at the fair. Not an awful lot of people coming through like years past. It's kind of sad to see that. Yeah, it's gone. It's completely gone. Thank you for everybody that helped with setting up the fair and for setting up. Glad I could tear it down and bring it back. So with that being said, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. Motion would be in order.
Mr. President, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
We have a motion with support to adjourn. Any further discussion before we vote? Hearing none. Go ahead, Greg. You want to throw the first one? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Thank you.
Yeah.